As everybody starts to come in, if you can make your way to your seat, as everybody starts to come in, make your way to your seat. It's one of Buster's favorite songs, Kid Rock, Born Free. Ladies and gentlemen, as you make your way in the doors, please find a seat. I know there's still a lot of people coming in. Come on in and find a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, as you come in, please make your way to your seat. We're going to hear another song, one of Buster's favorites, from Jim Croce. That'll play next. Please make your way to your seat. As people are still filtering in, we will hear another one of Buster's favorite songs from Jim Croce.
Like the pine trees lining the winding road, I've got a name, I've got a name. Like a singing bird and a croaking toad, I've got a name, I've got a name. And I carry it with me like my daddy did, but I'm living a dream that he kept here. Rolling me down the highway, rolling me down the highway. me down the highway. Don't let me down the highway. Moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Don't let me down the highway. Don't let me down the highway. Moving ahead so life won't pass me by.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we can welcome the USS Aspro to the stage. We'd like to start with some thank yous today. Lori and the family would like to thank so many people over the past several months. There are so many businesses and people who helped make today special. Thank you to All Sports Trophies for the collectible. Thank you to Post 69 for providing the honor guard today. Thank you AV Audio for the audio and visual package. Thank you to ProView Networks for the live streaming of today's event and the tribute to Buster on game days. Thank you to Steve Palmazzano for graciously making the tribute video. Thank you to Aiken Printing for the programs. Thanks to Fuddruckers for the family meal. Thank you to the Crown Plaza, Joni, for going above and beyond to make today special. Thanks to everyone who texted and visited, sent cards, brought food, and gave to the GoFundMe. Thank you to all the many visitors that Buster had in the hospital, from all over New Mexico all the way to Nebraska. Thank you to Steve Davis, Bruce Carver, Sally Marquez, Kine and Brandon Ramirez, Judge Chavez, Roy Sanchez, Chris Brewington, Jerry Munson, and Darren Manus for many times you sat with Buster while Lori was at work. Lori would like to thank the Buster Mabrey family for making her one of their own. Thank you to the USS Aspro brothers, who have always been more than brothers to Buster. Thank you to the New Mexico High School Coaches Association board members who have been very present for Lori in her time of need. In particular, Brian and Jeff for constantly checking on her. Thank you to LDOE for the guidance and gift of the beautiful urn. Thank you to the Rio Rancho High School coaching staff and team for holding Lori up during her time. For carrying the weight Thanks to Lori's family, Steve, Linda, Roger, and Todd, for checking on her daily since Buster's passing. Lori's heart has been truly blessed by the outpouring of support during this most difficult time. And now the Post 69 Honor Guard will present the honor ceremony, and they will fold a flag which will be given to the USS Aspro Naval Veterans, who will present the flag to Lori. Chaplain Dave Stevens. Chaplain, come on up.
Please rise and uncover. Let us pray. Eternal God, Supreme Commander of us all, Lord of the far-flung battle line, to whom the ranks of life report, we bow before you with reverent hearts and in sublime faith, knowing that you lead us on in death as you have in life. For again you have ordered a comrade to that realm in the west, beyond the twilight and the evening star, where beauty and valor and goodness dwell forever, with the unnumbered multitude. Mindful of service nobly done, you have called Buster to everlasting rest. You have sealed his lips with the faded blossoms of springtime and the withered leaves of autumn. You have called him to eternal peace, to the land of your silent mystery. Honor Guard, perform your military duty.
Today is going to be powerful. Next up, the opening prayer will be given by Dr. Robert Zayas, the Executive Director of the New York State Public High School Athletic Association. His family, Brooke, and their 2 children are here today. Buster introduced them and went on their very first date. Dr. Robert Zayas.
We gather here today to celebrate the life of Buster, a remarkable person who touched each of us in ways that words can hardly capture. His presence was a gift, one that brought kindness, laughter, and wisdom into our lives. Though his passing was sudden, his impact is very much lasting. Let us take a moment to breathe in the memories, the lessons, and the love he shared so freely. Let us honor his spirit not only in our words today, but in the way we carry forward the light he left behind. May this be a time of gratitude, of shared stories, and of remembering all the ways he made the world better simply by being in it. Though he is no longer with us in body, his influence, his love, and his legacy truly remain. Today we celebrate him, his life, his laughter, and the way he made all of us better just by knowing him. Thank you. You can be seated. So before I share a few thoughts about Buster, I do want to thank our 12 servicemen for being here with us today. It's because of gentlemen like you that we have the freedoms that we have in this country, so we truly speak on behalf of everybody in the room, appreciate the sacrifice that you made for this country, and that'll always be something that will have a lasting impact upon each one of us. My family and I left New Mexico about 13 years ago when I accepted the position in upstate New York, and we flew back in to Albuquerque yesterday afternoon, and as we were landing, God, it felt like home. And it felt like home not just because of the beautiful mountains or the city of Albuquerque. It felt like home because of the people like Buster, and many of you in this room that we had such long-lasting relationships with. And that's what makes New Mexico, and that's what makes Albuquerque. Although we live in upstate New York, where the weather's a little different than it is in Albuquerque, they're getting a foot of snow today. Albuquerque feels like home because of people like Buster. You know, I get the opportunity to travel a lot throughout the country. When I go to conferences or meetings or serve on boards and committees, people hear that I'm from New Mexico. That's where I say I'm from. I grew up in San Antonio, but again, Albuquerque feels like home. When people hear that I'm from New Mexico, one of the first questions they ask is, do you know Buster? Not do you know Buster Mabrey, not do you know Buster Mabrey, who heads up the Coaches Association. They say, do you know Buster? And they ask that question because of Buster's enthusiasm and his passion for what he did. And the fact that regardless of who he spoke to, he made him feel special. He cared, which was a sign of an incredible leader and an incredible friend, to make sure not just that you say it, but that you truly exhibit the fact that you care. He was a colleague, he was a friend, he was an amazing man. As I was preparing to come here, and Lori, thank you for asking me to speak. It's an honor and a privilege. I found myself thinking back about all the great times that Buster and I had together. Known him for almost 25 years. We worked together at the NMAA. He just had such a lasting impact upon my life. And so one day I was sitting at my desk in upstate New York, and I started thinking, wonder what emails I have from Buster. So I started scrolling through those emails. After about an hour and a half, a lot of emails, I was laughing. Some emails, I was crying. Those were his words, the exchanges that he and I shared as not only colleagues, but friends. And it dawned upon me. I was reading the last email, the last exchange between Buster and I wanted more. I was disappointed. I was sad. that I was reading the last email. Because I wanted more of his thoughts. I wanted more of his ideas. I wanted more of his guidance. He and I went through our dissertations together. When I left New Mexico, he hadn't started his coursework yet to get his doctorate. And he called and I said, just start taking any classes. Doesn't matter what you take, just take one class. And he started taking classes. Before I knew it, he had caught up to me. He was 4 years behind and he caught up, and I told my wife, Buster can't get done with his doctorate before I do. And he motivated me to get done. And people I was just introduced as doctor. For those of you that I don't know very well, Buster and I are not medical doctors. As my oldest daughter told her kindergarten class when I was going through my coursework, my daddy's going to be a doctor, but not the kind that helps anybody. And Buster was a trusted friend. One of the emails out of everybody in the country in the heyday of COVID, and in New York, we took it really hard, especially the impact that it had upon high school sports. And one of the emails that I read from Buster was an email that I'd sent him in the heyday of COVID. When Governor Cuomo was very restrictive and having his daily press conferences, people were asking us what we were going to do with high school sports. And out of everybody in the country, I sent the guidance document that I was working on to one person for his advice, for his guidance, for his thoughts and feedback. And that was Buster. I had trust in him and he had trust in me. And as I was saying, I wanted more, and I think that's only natural when you have somebody in your life like Buster. You want more because of the impact. But I also think that we can't lose sight of the fact that we did have Buster. We were blessed with his presence. We were blessed with his friendship. We had the opportunity and the privilege to call him a friend and to have him guide us and lead us. And it was truly a blessing to know him. So one of the emails that I'll leave you with is this one. In May of 2017, we were talking about our challenges with our dissertation. We knew that it was going to be a struggle. We knew there were going to be hoops that we had to jump through. And Buster wrote in May of 2017, I got your text. It's always great to talk with you. It would be cool if we graduated together. To be honest, I just want to wear a fancy hat. That's Buster. And when I read that email, that is so Buster. He just wants to wear a fancy hat, and he finished his doctorate and he got the opportunity to wear a fancy hat. And I feel like all of us in this room had the opportunity to wear a fancy hat because of Buster and his friendship and what he did for all of our lives and the impact that he had on all of us. So Lori, I know you're going to be coming up here. Get ready, because this room is full of friends and family and people that love Buster. God bless you. Thank you for asking me to share some of my thoughts today. God bless. Thank you.
Today is going to be powerful. As Dr. Zayas just said, it is jam-packed in this room. Next up, we'd like to have Buster's wife, Lori, come up and give the eulogy.
Good morning, and thank you for sharing this day with our family. Some of you have traveled many, many miles to be with us, and we appreciate each and every one of you who made today an important part of your day. I want to personally say thank you to Mike Adams, who worked on every stage presentation Buster ever did, and this celebration would not be complete without you, so thank you. I'd also like to personally thank Buster's only sibling, Darla, who was there for me for 35 of the 48-day hospital journey. I love you, and I appreciate you more than you know. Buster was very specific in how he wanted his celebration of life to go. and we will do our best to do him justice. He and I were like peanut butter and jelly, peas and carrots. I understood him well, so here we go. Forgive me if I go over my 5 minutes today, Buzz. I hope this time you'll be okay with all of us speaking just a little bit longer about a life so passionately lived. Dr. Thomas E. Mabrey was born on March 12, 1967, a Holy Sunday, and passed away on Monday, December 30th, 2024. If you knew Buster at all, you'd know that even the timing of his passing feels poetic, as if his life came full circle in a way that only Buster could have orchestrated. Buster was one of the most humble human beings I've ever met. He was a servant leader. He had passion, fierce, unrelenting passion that could sometimes come across as complicated, misunderstood, or too emotional. But that was because he held on to his beliefs so fiercely. Those beliefs are what I like to call his Busterisms, simple life mottos that he followed, and I promise if you follow them, your life will be enriched beyond measure. Mine certainly was, for 15 beautiful years. Today I'd like to share just a few Busterisms with you, and I encourage you to drop a leaf in the guest books outside with one of your own. Buster's iconic nickname was given to him just 2 weeks into life when his grandfather took one look at him and said, "Hey, Buster." And just like that, the name stuck. Born in San Diego, California, Buster's tough childhood was one of constant movement. 19 moves in total before he eventually landed in Hobbs. He loved fishing, water skiing, road trips with his father. But his life truly changed when he moved in with his mother's parents. It was there that he discovered his love for sports, an experience that would shape the rest of his life. Buster played baseball, football, basketball, and track, but more importantly, he found his life's calling. He always knew things before any of the rest of us did, and he knew he wanted to be a coach because coaches changed his life. He carried that belief with him always, speaking at clinics every year about the profound impact that a coach can have. He constantly reminded all of us of the responsibility and privilege we have in shaping young lives. Even in his final months, he was excited about coaching 8th grade basketball at Laguna before he got sick. Coaching wasn't just a job for Buster, it was his purpose and passion. He always spoke about his favorite coach, Coach Ballard, and for the life of him, Buster just couldn't understand why I wouldn't run the Hobbs Snowbird with my team. In fact, one of the very few fights we ever had was over my substitution pattern. Buster had a way of seeing the game, and when he believed in something, he held on to it with everything he had. But his beliefs went far beyond sports. He lived by his Busterisms, and one of the strongest was, never forget where you come from. Buster had no patience for a victim mentality. He believed in resilience, in the power of choice, and the ability to overcome any obstacle. And he didn't just talk about it, he lived it. He showed people how to push forward, how to fight, how to prove that nothing is impossible. Nothing in life was given to him, and yet he never let that deter him. It was one of the things I admired about him the most. At his core, Buster was driven to improve and constantly evolve. While he was in the hospital, I found one of his many notebooks filled with the wisdom he often scribbled down. And I ran across one Busterism that captured my heart. Dream big, draft small. That was Buster in a nutshell. He was a dreamer, an idea guy, a builder, a doer, always thinking, always moving, always pushing forward. I was the one trying to slow him down, but Buster wasn't happy unless his pants were on fire and he was going Mach 10. But there was another Busterism that defined him just as much. Lead with love. For Buster, leadership wasn't just about power or position. It was about lifting others up. He was a passionate fighter. He wasn't afraid to speak out, even when it cost him jobs or opportunities. He fought for the little guys. He fought for the big schools. He fought the establishment his whole life. He fought for his country. He fought for the coaches of New Mexico and the kids whose lives he was determined to change. And he fought for his own life for 48 days in the ICU.
Be tough.
I will, Dad. Buster also fought for me. He carried more weight than he had to. He took on more responsibilities, more stress, just to make sure I had a great life. That was who he was, a servant leader through and through. Even at 54 years of age, Buster wasn't done evolving. He defended his dissertation with distinction. Who does that? He did it not because he had to, but because he wanted to be the most qualified person in the room. That was him, never settling, never stopping, always proving himself, always learning. When he took the job at Laguna Department of Education, he didn't just show up. He immersed himself. He rode the school buses with the kids. He learned the Laguna Pueblo language. He even taught me new words like gume, which means be strong, Lori. He embraced the culture, the people, the work. In Laguna, he learned to breathe in the blessings of his life. Dewa'e. He loved cooking, which worked out well for me because I love shopping for kitchen crap. I'll miss the times of coming home to a surprise of a 5-course meal for no reason at all. He loved finding ways to save $1, which meant I got to hear all the wild tales of how he saved the Coaches Association money. One of his favorite mottos, if they don't bill, I don't pay. He once made us live out of an Orange, New Mexico Activities Gatorade cooler for 4 days until the refrigerator he wanted went on sale. I should probably return that cooler. He also loved dogs. He always found a unique way to name them something. We had Easy like Sunday morning, Miss Guinevere, and now I have Rio the hero. That dog is not a zero. Buster made sure our dogs were always well-mannered. I called him the dog whisperer. He called me the rules bender. They were our hiking companions, our road trip buddies, and now Rio will be my protector in Bee's absence. Buster loved hiking. He didn't just enjoy the outdoors, he conquered it. He, Chris, and I worked our way through that book, 60 hikes within 60 miles of Albuquerque. We hiked every inch of the Sandia Mountains. And the Grand Canyon, he didn't just visit it, he hiked it 3 times. Because once just wasn't enough for a man who always pushed himself to the limits. Buster never backed down from a challenge. And then there was this place, the Crown Plaza Hotel. Of all the places in the world, this was his spot. It became a place of memories, of gatherings, or late nights in the presidential suite. If you ever needed to find Buster, chances were you'd find him here. It was his home away from home. But above all, Buster loved coaches. He believed in them, he admired them, he fought for them, he defended them, and he reminded them of their power to change lives. Coaching wasn't just his profession, it was his purpose. And through it all, through the coaching, the hiking, the cooking, the saving, and the dreaming, he loved me. fiercely, protectively, endlessly. Buster was complicated, passionate, and sometimes stubborn beyond belief. But one thing was never in question: his love was unwavering. Even in his final moments, he was thinking of others. He asked his best friend Darren to be the only one in the room when he passed, sparing his sister Darla and I from that heartbreak. He was always looking out for us, always putting love first, because Buster always led with love. I'd like to believe that Buster's gone where all good coaches go. And if I had to guess, he's up there coaching God right now. Probably telling him if you just let Buster handle things, he could have all of heaven running more smoothly. He even told the hospital staff more than once, y'all need to get your shit together. And let's be honest, he wasn't wrong. For 57 years, 9 months and 21 days, Buster lived by his own Busterisms. Never forget where you come from. Always evolve. Dream big, draft small. And most importantly, lead with love. And that's exactly what he did. He was loved, his life mattered, and he will be missed. Rest in peace, love bug.
Beautiful. Beautiful words, Lori. Genuine truth in that message. We'd like to welcome our first speaker of the day. He's a veteran of the USS Aspro, Mr. Jerry Munson. Mr. Munson?
Buster joined the USS Aspro in the summer of '86. He was waiting on the pier watching as the boat pulled back into Pearl after almost 2 months underwater. And being good submariners, we ran directly past him, completely ignoring that he was waving at us. Instead, we beelined to the barracks, cracked open some long-awaited beers. As you might expect, Buster took it in stride, caught up with us, and joined right in. I wish I could share stories of those first few weeks with him, but we were sailors who had only 2 weeks in port. And honestly, I don't think I remember much of it, except that Buster fit right in. What I do recall is not many guys get to decide their own nickname on a nuclear submarine. Nicknames were given either through acts of stupidity, height, weight, or looks. We had Ogre, Bugsy, Jojo the dog-faced boy, and even our captain was Jabba the Hutt. But Thomas Mabrey was simply Buster. It fit then, and we wouldn't have known him by any other name. When I think of getting to know Buster, I remember that 19-year-old kid who could hold his own with a bunch of salty sub-vets from their early 20s. Buster was a torpedoman and spent his life in a space only 30 feet from a nuclear reactor, a room filled with torpedoes, each with more than 600 pounds of high explosives, and I can neither confirm nor deny there may have been a nuclear weapon. The word that we all speak to each other is brother, and we were all family. I'd like to share more with you in the spirit of this brotherhood, as we are all here to honor our shipmate, our brother Buster. Beneath the waves where silence reigned, in steel-clad hulls our lives were chained. Through depths unknown, we forged a creed, a brotherhood of silent deeds. We served in shadows, unseen, unheard, our stories shared without a word. In Cold War's grip, we gave our might. guardians of peace in endless night. Time passed by, the seas grew still, but bonds like ours defy all will. For though the tides of time have rolled, our laughter echoes, stories told. Years turned to decades, life carried on. Our youth grew distant, but the bond stayed strong. For though the seas have long since stilled, the ties we forged live on, strong-willed. And here's the truth, no time can sever. This bond of ours is built forever. Time has passed, yet the moment we meet, it is as though we left the same steel fleet. There's a knowing glance, a hearty laugh, shared memories of a stormy past. You'll never find friends like those who serve, with whom you faced what few had nerve. And now, our brother Buster, we turn to you, a man of wisdom and passions true, not just a coach, an educator, a guide, but Dr. Buster, who stood with pride. We witnessed your strength, we felt your fears, we shared your trials, your sweat, your tears. Brothers in duty, unbreakable ties, submariners, true friends all our lives. From the silent service to halls of learning, your flame of purpose was always burning. A devoted husband, a friend so rare, a leader whose heart was beyond compare. And now, as we gather to honor our mate, we smile through the tears, embracing his fate. For though he has crossed to a distant shore, his spirit sails forevermore. So here's to the brothers, the bond we keep, through memories cherished and oceans deep. Even as time pulls us apart, we're tied together, soul to heart. Though we'll miss your laugh, your wit, your cheer, in the echoes of waves, you're always near. May your legacy echo like the waves on the sea, a reminder of how rich and full life can be. Fair winds, dear brother, and following seas. May you find peace in eternity's breeze. With love and honor from your brothers at sea, who wore the dolphins with pride and esprit. Buster is loved.
Today is powerful. Second speaker will be Chris Brewington, lifelong friend of Buster. They coach football together at Mayfield High. Coach.
Thank you. So I wrote everything down today, and I didn't think to change the font. So may just wing it a little bit. So I first met Buster in the summer of 1997. I'd started coaching at Mayfield High School, showed up for summer workouts with the freshman football team, was introduced to Buster. And later that night, we ended up somehow at this place called the Gadsden Purchase. And on that first night, when he found out that I was going to be coaching defensive ends, he basically told me everything he wanted all those defensive ends to know how to do when they came to see him the next year. So from the moment I first met him, he was always coaching. But I really didn't get to see how detailed he was until a few weeks later, first game of the season, I was a little upset. Didn't get to travel with the varsity team to where they were playing. I got to go with Buster when he went scouting. And we showed up in El Paso, and Buster sat out all of his stuff, and then right next to us sat a crew of 5 or 6 coaches from another high school. And over the course of the game, Buster got everything from the offense to the defense to the players to the routes to the blocking schemes to stunts to even the leg the punter was kicking with and how far back he lined up from the center. All the while he was explaining every bit of this to me, and he gave me a couple jobs to do at the same time. You know, watch the centers and the guards. That's what I did. Tell him what they did after the game. After we were comparing notes at the end of the game, he filled in everything that I missed, which was a lot. He hadn't missed any of it. And those details, I think, extended through everything that he did in life. And I think how detail-oriented Buster was really kind of defined how he reached all of his goals. You know, later on, over the time that we were there at Mayfield, I had the opportunity to substitute teach for Buster on a day that he wasn't expecting. You know, when you sub, you know, people are usually ready for you. But if you're subbing for a day when no one's ready for you, you know, you never know what you're going to walk into. And Buster had the most detailed plans for the day, spelled out. I could walk in, I could follow the plans. I've never seen anyone else like that I subbed for in the 2 years that I did that. And from right there I knew, whatever, you know, he was always going to be ready. You know, before I came up here today, I was thinking about the best ways to try to describe Buster. And you really get to know people by the stories that people have from them. The details in the story really let you know what a person is made of and who they are. And over the years, I have vaults of stories with Buster. When Buster moved back to Albuquerque, I was finally up here and coaching, and we decided that we were going to start hiking, just spending some time outdoors. And later on, he bought that 60 book, 60 hikes within 60 miles. But originally, Buster had a book, it was just Hiking New Mexico. And in that book, every hike that's in that book has something, gives you an estimated time, how long each hike's going to take. And I think Buster's #1 goal from the beginning was, whatever that time says, we were going to beat it. And we weren't going to beat it, we were going to crush it. And you didn't have a choice, you had to crush it. You know, Buster didn't give you many options. If he made a decision, that's the way things were going to be. And it made every hike a challenge. And between the Grand Canyon, Zion, everywhere around here though, there's one hike that I always think about. We were hiking La Luz. We didn't hike La Luz a lot, we usually were on other things. And if you know Buster, you know he's pretty ultra competitive. And as we were about a third of the way through, we took a break. We always took breaks, short breaks along the way. And right about the time we started to take a break, 3 guys passed us. All 3 of these guys were from the Air Force. They all had Air Force backpacks on. They were all quarter of a century younger than we were. And for the first 5 or 10 seconds, the look on Buster's face told me, oh no. We didn't get to take a break. I remember he turned to me, looked at Lori, and he said, we gotta go. And honestly, my first thought was, if you're from here, you'll understand this. If those are PJs, Buster's gonna hike himself into the ground. They weren't. 10 minutes later, we'd passed him. 30 minutes later, we took our break, and after we were done taking our break, they came walking up to where we were, and we knew from there we had them. And after that, I think one shot left to the top. We finished lunch before they even got there. And I think Buster was really proud of the fact that he crushed those guys. And I'm sure being in the Navy had part of that to do with that. Yeah, Buster loved hiking in the outdoors. And all the adventures that we had were also opportunities for Buster to coach. You know, Buster was always coaching, you know, always giving advice, like what, you know, how we should do things, you know, how we should plan things, detailed out, reading maps, going through, everything was planned to the nth degree with everything that we ever did. And it always showed. You know, the 3 trips we made to the Grand Canyon, I had everything planned out for 2 of them, and Buster had everything planned out, and they were pretty much the same. And it was nice to work with someone so detail-oriented. Finally, last story I have is over the last few years, we hadn't been able to get out much. From COVID and having the house built, you know, we just hadn't spent near as much time in the outdoors as we would have liked to. In lieu of that, Buster had me start to come over to the house at 5 in the morning, twice a week, to train him. So at 10 minutes until 5, every Tuesday and Thursday, I was knocking on their door, and every single time I would hear, "Damn it, Chris, I was hoping you wouldn't show up today." And I always told him, all you have to do is call and cancel. He never called and canceled. He would never call and cancel. Lori canceled for him a couple times when she knew he couldn't make it through or needed some extra time for something, but he would never cancel. For a big part of those last couple years, Buster was working on his dissertation. And we'd go upstairs to where we worked out, and he had butcher paper all over the walls. Everything that he was working on was written on that butcher paper. And for our entire workouts, he would go over every aspect that from that butcher paper. I knew Buster's dissertation as well as he did by the time he presented it. I probably could have given it the day that he gave it, because he went over it so many times with me. And I feel like I'm an expert in education-based athletics, club sports, and you name it when it comes to those things. Like I said earlier, Buster was always the teacher and the coach, and every day of my life. Buster was my coach, and I will miss him.
Thank you, Coach. It's powerful today. Next up, veteran of the USS Aspro, lifelong friend of Buster, Ronnie Hoffman.
Woo. Powerful words. In case you didn't know it, I am Ron Hoffman from Virginia. I speak a little different than y'all do out here, so everybody go with me. Like all the guys from the USS Aspro, I met Buster in 1986 when he reported aboard the USS Aspro in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. We fast became friends. I really thought this day would never come for me. I always thought that Buster would be back in Virginia at my life celebration, telling some of the wild Navy stories and some of the crazy stuff that we did and got away with back in the day. For now, I'll hold those memories close to my heart. What I want to share with you today, how over nearly 4 decades, my friend Buster set an example for me Buster showed up. When the boat got relocated to Mare Island Naval Shipyard in Vallejo, we went to a lot of country music concerts. Back then, all the legends came to the Bay Area to perform. We saw all the major sporting events. We saw Montana and Rice. We saw the Bash Brothers of the Oakland A's. And then back then, the Golden State Warriors sucked. Almost as bad as the Dallas Cowboys. And Buster took a lot of ribbing from all of those guys over there about the Dallas Cowboys. But all the superstars played in Oakland back then in the day, and we saw Jordan and Magic and Bird. We saw Eddie Murphy on his Raw tour, which was really, really risky for back in the day. We'd go skiing in Tahoe, and yes, if you know Buster, we would do a little bit of gambling. But Buster showed up. In Vallejo, there was a country and western bar named Josie Wells. Buster was a legend. Buster became a legend. And many times, I think Buster introduced all the Navy guys to cowboy boots and country and western music. Many occasions, I would go with Buster to drink a few beers and then watch my boy in amazement. He was a stallion. And that boy could dance. I am telling you. Buster and I had different likes of music. I was the old school funk. Buster was country and western. For the older people in the crowd, if you remember the John Travolta movie Urban Cowboy, Travolta couldn't hold a candle to my boy Buster. Lori, he could pull the ladies. If you find a 1988 dictionary and you look under the word smooth, you'll find a picture of Buster. He was that smooth, baby. I'm telling you. So Buster was my best man at my first wedding in 1993. I'll never forget this. We were in the back of the church, just Buster and I. Preacher pokes his head in the door and says it'll be about 10 minutes. Girl Scouts honor. Buster looks at me and says, I can get you out of this. We can leave. You can blame it all on me. Needless to say, I didn't listen to Buster. But Buster showed up. Many of you may remember in 2019 we had our USS Aspro reunion here at the Crown Plaza. The Balloon Festival was amazing, and of course Buster organized the whole weekend. I had the pleasure to tag along with Buster at a veterans meeting that weekend where Buster was a note speaker. Buster got up there, no notes, no nothing, gave a fabulous speech to the older veterans. I was so proud of Buster, and Buster showed up. On that same weekend, I was training for the Richmond, Virginia Marathon, and I told Buster that I had to run 20 miles that Saturday. No problem, Buster said. Many of you may know, I didn't know anything about it. Buster said, you can run on the Bosque Trail. It'll take you right to the Balloon Festival. Okay. Good coaching from Buster. He says to me, keep the river on your left and the mountains on your right. Good coaching from Buster. Sure enough, after a short Friday night of partying with the boys, 4:30 the next morning, Saturday morning, there was Buster outside this very hotel to send me off on another run. But Buster showed up for me. He was a little hungover, but Buster still showed up. I had told Buster I'd be out there about 4 hours. I got lost. Thank God for cell phones. After 2 or 3 phone calls to Buster, more good direction, more good coaching, I had finally arrived at the Balloon Festival. But along the way, I witnessed one of the most spectacular and amazing sunrises that I'd ever witnessed in my 61 years of living. The balloons floating upward in the sky and the sun coming over the mountains was simply spectacular. On one of our typical Sunday morning conversations in August of 2022, I had told Buster that I was going to do my first Ironman. in Maryland the next month in September, I heard, as I had heard 1,000 times over the years, "Old Fudge Ron." The next day, I received a text message from Buster saying, "I'm coming out." I replied, "You're crazy." He said, "I'll work it out." I replied, "You're crazy. You'll never find a room." He said, "I'll work it out." Sure enough, Friday morning, September 16th, 0800 that morning, there was Buster on the front porch of my Airbnb with that big old Buster Boy smile. Buster showed up. I was ecstatic that he was there, but then again on Saturday morning, there was Buster sending me off on another wild adventure, and I had told Buster we're going to be out here about 15 hours. Buster was everywhere on the race course. I remember coming out of the swim after a 2.4-mile swim and being stung by jellyfish about 25, 30 times, thinking out of 2,400 swimmers, there's no way for Buster to find me. But to my amazement, there was Buster. Hollering and cheering me on, coaching me up, Buster showed up. In and out of T1 and onto the 112-mile bike. I told Buster I'll see you in about 7 hours. Buster being Buster, he figured out how to get away from the transition area. 15 miles away from the transition area, there he was alongside of the road, hollering and cheering me on. I needed it and I loved it. So we get back to the transition after almost 7 hours. I'm coming back into transition and I'm telling Buster, my stomach's upset and I don't feel very good. Buster's words, "Oh, suck it up, Buttercup." More good coaching from Buster. Off on the bike and onto the run. In Cambridge, the marathon was 3 loops, which meant you ran downtown Cambridge, Maryland 3 different times, and that's where the bars were. Knowing Buster, by loop 2, there was Buster. Found a bar, the beer in hand, alongside the road, hollering and cheering me on, just like Buster always did, but Buster showed up for me. I remember between loops 2 and 3, it started to get dark. And I'm thinking, there's no way for Buster to find me in the dark. Wrong. Much to my surprise, Buster found me. 2 miles before the finish line, I was oh so happy to see him and be that close to the finish line. I can't express the emotions that run through your mind as you slowly approach the line of an Ironman. But for me, it was so much sweeter knowing that Buster was there and Buster showed up for me. Buster's last trip to Virginia was in August of 2023 for my 60th birthday party. Another special weekend for me when Buster showed up. As an athlete in an Ironman, you make up motivational sayings, quotes, anything to give yourself a little mojo during a race. I came up with this one years ago. I repeat it to myself daily. Life goes on every day whether you choose to participate or not. You decide. So what that means for us today, how will you remember Buster? How will you be the friend like Buster who always showed up? I know that Buster will continue to show up for me in the music every time I hear the Commodore's Easy or any Alabama song, especially the Alabama Angels Among Us, and the tons of pictures that I have of me and Buster over the last 38 years of our friendship. I will remember Buster, the friend who showed up for me. And in my mind, the memories that I shared with Buster, and in my heart, the love and respect that I have for Buster. And in my soul, the deep, strong bond and friendship that Buster and I have shared over the last 38 years. I want to thank you for letting me speak here today. And make sure you thank a veteran before you leave here today. Thank you and God bless.
Powerful. Our next speaker is Darren Manus, Buster's best friend from the 9th grade, and he was also the best man at Lori and Buster's wedding.
Seasons of love. I think it's safe to say that Buster lived to love. He loved in seasons his entire life. And thankfully to all of us, he had no off season. The students that were under him as he mentored them, the coaches that were under him as he mentored them, realized, as Chris would even testify, there was no off season. Let's start with the season of his childhood, when I got to know him. I gotta stop, because I gotta apologize to Buster, first of all. He was literally laying in the bed that he died in, and he was talking to his bride about today. And he said, I want these 4 people to speak, and I want them to keep it between 3 and 5 minutes, because nobody's going to listen after 3 minutes anyway. So I apologize, Buster. I apologize to you if you guys want to, play Wordle or something. I understand. But the season of his childhood, I got to know Buster when I was going into the 10th grade, moved to Hobbs, didn't know anybody. My dad took me up to Ralph Tasker Arena to sign me up for Summer League basketball. And Buster was the first one that I met. And he made fun of me the rest of my life. Because first of all, I had hair, and it was combed, and it was nice, and it was in place. And I had a hat on that just barely sat on top because I didn't want to mess my hair up. And he dogged me the rest of my life about that. But that's when we met. The season of his childhood, Thomas Sr., Katie, Charlie, and Louise, they provided him with a foundation of determination, persistence, intelligence, and tenacity. And if you know Buster, you know he got that from somewhere, right? He got that from his family growing up. And then there was the season of serving his country, as has been honored today with his brothers from the USS Aspro. I appreciate the influence that each one of you had on Buster, because you molded his life. But I also want to thank Buster for influencing each of you, because our country and our world's a better place because of what you guys have done. And you did that in part as a result of the persistence, intelligence, determination, and tenacity of Buster Mabrey. What about the season of serving children? I could talk all day long about the season of him serving children. He was a teacher. I believe his first teaching job was at Mayfield High School in Las Cruces. I believe he taught English, coached kids. He became an administrator because he was very well respected in the education world. He obviously, as everyone in here knows, he was the director of the New Mexico High School Coaches Association, and he influenced children through influencing adults. And the Laguna Department of Education and the influences that he had on those children, he loved that. He loved it. The season of serving colleagues, years of coordinating coaching clinics right here in this building, years of coordinating all-star games, bringing in all-star athletes, housing them, taking care of them, promising their parents that they were going to be good, they were going to be fine. He was going to bring them here, and he was going to take care of them, and he was going to help them to represent the communities and the families that they came from, and he did just that. The season of obtaining his doctorate, that was a season, and it was a long season, and there was no off season. But he was determined. He was persistent. He had a tenacity about getting that thing finished, even though he had multiple advisors. One advisor would quit, the other one would fire him. He would fire the next one. But he stayed at it and he kept doing it. And then came the season. Back up, we all know Buster loved. Buster loved. But then there was the season of learning how to be loved. Thank you for providing him with the most important season of his life, Miss Lori Mabrey. Today is our time to celebrate the extraordinary life of Buster. We've had time now, since December 30th, to not only mourn the loss of our guy, but also to reflect and remember the good times we had together and the legacy that Buster left. Today, let's just all remember the immense impact that Dr. Thomas E. Mabrey Jr. had on us individually. He was a man who was as selfless as he was brilliant, a leader who sought not the spotlight, but the betterment of all of those around him. Buster once told me that life isn't about the credit you get, it's about the lives you change. I was always amazed at his ability to be front and center while leading the charge, yet take a backseat to attention and credit. If that is the measure of greatness, then he stands among the greatest. And just to touch on that piece, just a moment, this football jersey was the jersey he wore 40 football seasons ago at Hobbs High School. Well, okay, it's not exactly the jersey, right? I asked Coach Stevens if I could borrow number 65 football jersey because that's the jersey that Buster wore. And, you know, in my mind, I thought it was going to be a jersey, like 40 years ago jersey. And I thought, I'm going to wear it. I'm just going to wear it. That's going to be my thing. Well, I went to Hobbs, went and picked it up. Well, actually, my daughter lives in Hobbs. She picked it up. I got it from her. I'm like, I'm going to put this on. Well, I look like a sausage stuffed in a wrapper. And I'm like, how does a offensive lineman, number 65, even get that on? Anyway, it's a little different uniform today, a little different game today. I get it. But Buster was a pulling guard. And he was a good football player, right? Some of you in here might even remember, but we weren't very good. As a team, we weren't very good. And part of the reason why we weren't any good is because they just had to watch Buster. They just keyed on Buster. We ran the wing tee. Ball's going over there. Buster's going to go out in front and block somebody. Ball's going over there. Buster's going to pull that way and go block somebody. So they keyed on Buster. Wherever Buster went, they knew the ball was going. We didn't. And then there was people like me running the ball that were not very fast. So we didn't win a lot, but Buster was front and center. He was front and center, but yet he didn't take credit. He always gave the credit. He always put someone in position to look good. He was always front and center. His work on institutional complexity in sports is a testament to his deep sense of service, his commitment to fairness, and his passion for youth development. His recent doctoral dissertation revealed a conflict that resonated within his own character. the tension between professional performance and moral development. He tackled these challenges not just in theory but in practice, working tirelessly to guide young athletes, their families, and their coaches toward the best outcome for every individual child. He believed deeply in community, in teamwork, and the kind of growth that transcends trophies and titles. Whether you were a 13-year-old juggling club and school sports, or a colleague of his striving to make sense of all that integration and pulling it together, Buster always made time to listen to you, guide you, and cheer you on. His legacy will continue to inspire collaboration between these institutions, fostering environments where young athletes can flourish, not just as competitors, but as individuals. But Buster was so much more than his achievements. He had the soul of a hippie. As Eulogy's words remind us, you are not here, and yet you are everywhere. That was Buster, present in every sunrise, every shared laugh, every quiet moment. He had a way of pouring himself into the lives of others, leaving indelible marks of kindness, wisdom, and warmth. As we heard earlier, when you were being seated, a song by Kid Rock, free like a raging river, strong as the wind I'm facing, chasing dreams and Father Time, deep like the grandest canyon, wild like the untamed stallion. If you can't see Buster's heart in this room, then you must be blind. Buster chased dreams not just for himself, but for everyone he touched. His heart was boundless, his generosity endless, and his impact immeasurable. For those of us lucky enough to have known him closely, we are forever changed. And though we can no longer see him, we see his influence in every corner of our lives. He's in the resilience of Lori Mabrey. He's in the determination of those young athletes. He's in the laughter in this room amongst his friends. And he's in the influence of every coach in New Mexico. Let us carry his legacy forward. Let us lead with selflessness, serve with purpose, and love with abandon. And let us find comfort in the fact that though he is no longer here, he will always be everywhere. Darla, Buster loved you first and for the longest. The struggles of growing up were real, but you always knew that you had an anchor in your brother. To the family, he loved you with a deep respect for what you meant to his childhood upbringing and sense of family, helping him become the person he was. His most important season of love began the minute that he met his true best friend. And instead of me telling you, I'm going to let Buster tell you.
I was thinking just the other day, how you make my life have no gray. It's full of wonderful colors and beautiful sights and sounds. That's all because my wife is the one that makes my world go round.
So I feel like I'm almost done. I was blessed and fortunate enough to spend the last night with Buster. And it was hard, obviously, very difficult, but yet I found a great peace that came from that because I saw what happened. I saw what happened, and I found peace as a result of that. He ministered to me. Lori, grief said, I will never be the same without him. But celebration says, we will be better because of him. Grief said, how I miss his beautiful soul. But celebration says, how blessed are we to have been loved and influenced by him. Grief said, he's all I had. Celebration says, because of him, we have it all. Grief said, I'm going to make you proud, Buster. I will be a better person going forward because of you. Celebration says, we are all better people because of Buster, and our world is a better place because of his influence. So I want to say thank you, Buster, for the gift of your friendship, your wisdom, and your heart. We will all miss you, but we will honor you by living lives that reflect your incredible example that you've set for each of us. Rest in peace, buddy. You are and always will be in our every season.
Today was powerful. And I look in this room and I remember when I met Buster, now Dr. Mabrey. And it was in this facility that I met him. The very first thing he said, I'm the executive director of the New Mexico High School Coaches Association. And I'm going to work hard for these coaches. It's the first time I met him. 3 words sum up Buster. It's humble, transparent, and I don't know anybody who worked harder than Bus. I want to read you this text. Today's February 15th. February 15th, 2024. Buster texts, thinking out loud, I want to rock the 80th. That was Bus. Always thinking about the coaches. You know, I do this cool thing, a radio show. Bus got a kick out of it. He was a guest one day. And he texted me, July 13th. Thank you for allowing me to be on your radio show and allowing me to talk. The humbleness. I get a text 10 minutes later. Mike, you're good. You're good, Mike. And you're good to me. It's powerful. Lori, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Lori. And for those of you who know Lori, she's a winner. Buster was a winner. Winners win. They do. If you find a way, it's through hard work. There'll be a reception of small appetizers right after this. Bus, I'll miss you, man. Now we'll get to the closing prayer. If we can have Angel Castillo please come up.
You know, I met Buster back in my days at Mayfield, and you know, me and my wife, it was fitting that she write this. She wanted me to come up because she wouldn't have been able to finish this prayer. But again, she forgets I need 72-point font, and she didn't do that. So. Heavenly Father, as we close this celebration of Buster's remarkable life, we come to you with hearts full of both sorrow and gratitude. We thank you for the time you gave us with him, a man whose selflessness, passion, and dedication made such a profound impact on so many lives. We honor the legacy he leaves behind, the countless coaches, athletes, communities he inspired and uplifted through his work with the Coaches Association. He made everyone feel valued, and his unwavering commitment to others was a reflection of your love. Lord, we lift up Buster's family to you, his wife Lori, his loved ones, and all those closest to him. Lord, we ask that you wrap them in your comforting embrace, grant them peace in the midst of grief, and give them the strength to carry forward his spirit of love and service. May they feel the prayers and support of everyone in this room that are gathered here today. As we leave today, let us carry Buster's example with us in our own lives. May we honor his memory by living with the same integrity, kindness, and devotion he so beautifully modeled. Thank you, Lord, for the gift of Buster's life and for the privilege of knowing him. Though his time with us feels far too short, we trust in your promise that we will one day be reunited with him in your eternal presence. Until that day, may his memory continue to inspire us and bring us closer to one another and to you. It is in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
He definitely stood out.
He's a leader. He's a leader of everybody, and I think that's kind of what he did.
Just any interaction you had with Buster, he knew he cared about you. Oh, Buster was one of a kind. You know, he would love it. He would love the fact that we were celebrating his life.
He had a pretty tumultuous upbringing. They moved around a lot. Ultimately, he landed with Charlie and Louise Clifton, and Louise was his rock. And I met Buster in 1982 when my family moved from Alamogordo to Hobbs. He just took me under his wing, and he was my best friend. He was a leader by nature, but he never wanted to receive the credit. He was a down in the dirt, blue collar guy, and he just would work hard and build up everybody around him.
I first met Buster in 1986 when he reported aboard the USS Aspro, the nuclear-powered submarine in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. So I was 20 and Buster was probably 18, or maybe not 19. He enlisted. He was a torpedoman on the USS Aspro, and I was a radarman and a diver. Somehow made that connection and kept that connection over 38 years. A blessing to have as a friend and a brother
a Navy brother for all these years. But he was just a tremendous guy. The guy that you want to be a friend of Buster Mabrey's.
When Buster and I started our careers together here at Mayfield, we were both going to college and we wanted to get into the coaching profession. We've been together for a long time, and then he defected to Texas, like a few do, and we hooked back up when he applied for the Coaches Association. And he said, you know what, this is my dream job. This is my dream job to be in athletics, but also help as many people as I can. And that's kind of the theme of what Buster Mabrey is all about, is helping people.
I think from the day he started, he made good choices, he made things for our organization. He represented coaches. Coaches were important to him. He was going to do the very best he could to make things that turn out right, be good. He didn't mind a fight along the way, but he also had a great time. I think one of the things that stands out to me about Buster is he enjoyed work, he enjoyed fun, he enjoyed people, and as a result made a big difference in a lot of lives.
What he did for the coaches clinic in the summer was second to none. You know, we had Bobby, and Bobby had the coaches clinic, but where Buster took it from where Bobby Gibbs had it to where it is now, phenomenal. He did a phenomenal job with, you know, the development of coaches within the coaches clinic.
The connections he made with people and with all over the state of New Mexico. I mean, he provided a lot for our student athletes, for our coaches, and a lot of it was really in, you know, to recognize other people's achievements. You know, whenever you're talking the all-star games, all-state teams, coaching milestones, coaching for character, the Hall of Honor, I mean, he was about recognizing other people, you know, and I really look at that as a form of giving. And I mean, he was the ultimate, you know, giver in that, in terms of recognizing other people's achievements, and, you know, just one of a kind.
Yeah, he would go around everywhere. He wanted to know every coach's name, where they're from, what school they're from, what they coached, you know, what their ideas were, how can we make New Mexico better, and, you know, again, like you said, you just immediately, you know, felt connected to him, like, this is a good dude, this is a guy I could get on board with.
You know, he really defined a lot of my thoughts on leadership and, you know, how to lead and how to treat people and how to be empathetic and listen to everybody. And I really admired that about Buster. I mean, he could put me in my place, but he could put me in my place and really make me think and really make me grow. And I really appreciated that about Buster.
The conversations and advice, the wisdom he has about life, about high school sports, about coaching. You know, like I said, he's a brilliant mind, and just the knowledge he has and the knowledge he's willing to share is invaluable. And that's something I always appreciate, and I will truly miss those conversations I have with Buster.
You know, when you talk about someone's legacy, and I don't think people like Buster really do things for legacy, but he touched so many people throughout the whole state of New Mexico. I mean, like I said, he wanted coaches to be successful. He wanted kids to be successful. He wanted them to be recognized for their success. And he did a great job of promoting high school sports in the state of New Mexico.
He's done so much, you know, and again, cared about every coach in New Mexico, and listened to every coach, and his phone was always on, and he would listen and ask questions, and maybe even already knew the answers to that, but wasn't afraid to try different things, and so open about everything. You know, such a leader. Buster Mabrey, such a leader for the state of New Mexico and the Coaches Association.
Before we do anything, we have any event, it didn't matter how big or small, his last words were always, we gotta be good to him. Make sure we're good to him. Make him feel good. And that's kind of, I think, what I took away from knowing Buster Mabrey, is that he cared and he always wanted to make you feel important. He was really good.
He's going to be missed by the association and all the coaches here in New Mexico. And we are, I know he's looking down on us right now, and we need to help Lori. And
he had the love of Lori. He loved Lori like one could wish for. It was that kind of love.
There's two things I love in this life. I love Lori with all my heart. She's the most important thing. And then second, I love the New Mexico High School Coaches Association. I love coaches of New Mexico. And
he loved that woman. That woman changed his life, but she also made him a better man. And I think the Navy made us all better, but Lori took him like 2 levels higher than he was already at. And God, he loved that woman.
Fast on a rough road, riding high through the mountains, climbing, twisting, turning further from my home. Young, like a new moon rising fierce through the rain and lightning, wandering out into this great unknown. And I don't want no one to cry, but tell them if I don't survive, I'm born free. I'm born free. I'm born free. Born free. Free like a river raging strong. It's the wind I'm facing. Chasing dreams and racing Father Time. Deep like the grandest canyon, wild like an untamed stallion. If you can't see my heart, you must be blind. You can knock me down and watch me bleed, but you can't keep no chains on me. I'm born free. I'm born free. I'm born free. Born free. And I'm not good at a long goodbye, but look down deep into my eyes. I'm born free.
Steve, great video. Excellent work. I'll leave you with this. Don't forget reception of small appetizers to follow. Bus never really wanted anything. And I think everybody in this room knows he deserves to be in the Hall of Honor. He deserves to be in the NMA Hall of Fame. And he deserves to be in the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you for attending today. We celebrated, and it was powerful. Dr. Thomas Mabrey.